Clara nestled deeper into the plush cushions of her favorite armchair, a delicate china cup cradled between her hands. The rich aroma of the coffee seemed to blend seamlessly with the cinnamon and apple that wafted from the kitchen, where her mother-in-law, Madeline, stood as a conductor over her symphony of baking. The cozy living room, with its walls lined with bookshelves and photographs of smiling faces, wrapped around her like a warm embrace. Outside, the autumn leaves rustled as if sharing secrets in hushed tones, a prelude to the coming winter. Clara's gaze shifted to the two figures across the room. Mark, her husband of 3 years, and his mother, Madeline, were huddled together, their conversation a murmur against the crackling of the fireplace. "You've outdone yourself with the tarts this year, Maman," Mark said, his voice a soft baritone that resonated with affection. Madeline chuckled, "It's the apples. They were particularly sweet this season. Just like the surprise we have for Clara." Clara pretended to be lost in her book, but her attention was fixed on their clandestine exchange. She had learned French as a love letter to Mark's heritage, but they had never suspected how fluent she had become. "The plan is set for tomorrow," Mark continued, his words cloaked in mystery. Madeline leaned in closer, her voice a whisper, "It will be the surprise of a lifetime." She suspects nothing. The threads of intrigue wound tighter around Clara's heart. What plan could they be discussing? What surprise could they be concocting without her knowledge? A flutter of anxiety danced in her chest, but she kept her expression neutral, turning a page of her book with feigned indifference. Later, as twilight painted the sky with shades of orange and purple, Clara sat at the dinner table, the image of composure. Madeline served the apple tarts, their sweet scent a contrast to the savory meal they had just enjoyed. "So, what are your plans for tomorrow?" Clara ventured, her voice casual. Mark and Madeline exchanged a glance. "Oh, just a small family outing." "Nothing too extravagant," Mark replied, his eyes gleaming with unspoken stories. Clara nodded, a smile playing on her lips. "Sounds lovely," she said, her mind racing. She knew them well enough to sense the weight of the words left unsaid. That night, as Clara lay beside Mark, the whispers of the day echoed in her ears. She felt the presence of the unknown between them, a gentle tension that tugged at her curiosity. The whispering wind outside seemed to beckon her towards tomorrow's revelation, towards the precipice of the unexpected. And as she drifted into sleep, she made a silent vow to uncover the mystery, her heart beating to the rhythm of the autumn leaves. The dawn broke with a soft golden hue, filtering through the curtains and casting a warm glow across the bedroom. Clara awoke to the gentle pressure of Mark's hand on her shoulder and the soft murmur of his voice, "Good morning, my love. Today's the day." Clara's eyes fluttered open, and she was greeted with the sight of Mark's smile, a look of excited anticipation dancing in his eyes. "What day?" she inquired, her voice still thick with sleep, though her mind was already racing with thoughts of the plan she had overheard. Mark's grin widened, "The day of our little adventure. Get dressed and pack a bag with your favorite things. Madeline and I have a surprise for you." The word surprise lingered in the air like a melody as Clara rose from the bed. She chose her attire carefully, selecting a comfortable yet chic ensemble that would suit an unknown destination. The atmosphere in the house was electric, charged with a sense of expectation that Madeline seemed to amplify as she fluttered about the kitchen, her usual calm replaced by an almost girlish giddiness. "Clara, Sherry, you must eat something. You'll need your strength for the day ahead," Madeline called out, her voice a sing-song of excitement. Seated at the breakfast table, Clara watched as Madeline laid out an array of pastries and fruits, a feast fit for royalty. The aroma of fresh coffee joined the spread, a comforting constant in the whirlwind morning. "Mark, this all seems so elaborate. Where are we going?" Clara asked, her curiosity piqued as she spread jam over a slice of toast. "You'll see," Mark said, a secretive twinkle in his eye. "Trust me, it's somewhere you've never been before." Madeline chuckled, sliding a plate towards Clara. "It's not the destination, my dear, but the journey that matters." Their cryptic answers did nothing to quell the swirling questions in Clara's mind. She noted the peculiar details, The careful avoidance of specifics, the occasional hushed conversations, the meaningful glances. It all wove a veil of secrecy that Clara was determined to pierce. As they left the house, Clara felt a twinge of apprehension. She was no stranger to Mark's love for surprises, but this was different. There was a gravity to their demeanor that suggested this was more than just a spontaneous day trip. The car ride was filled with laughter and music, a soundtrack that seemed to mock Clara's internal suspense. The landscape blurred past as they drove, not towards the city center or any familiar countryside retreat, but in the direction of open fields and distant hills. "Are we going hiking?" Clara ventured, trying to glean any information from Mark's carefully neutral expression. "No, not hiking," Mark replied, his lips curled in a suppressed smile. "Think higher." "Higher?" Clara echoed, her mind a whirlpool of possibilities. As the car turned into a small private airfield, Clara's breath caught in her throat. The sight that greeted her was one she had never expected, a vibrant hot air balloon, resplendent against the morning sky, waiting like a silent sentinel for its passengers. "We're not just going on any vacation," Mark said, helping Clara out of the car. "We're going up, just the three of us, to celebrate." "Celebrate?" Clara's heart skipped a beat. Her gaze shifted from the balloon to Mark and Madeline, their faces alight with shared joy. The veil of secrecy began to lift, revealing the outline of a truth that Clara had not dared to imagine. And as they walked towards the balloon, every step felt like a move towards a revelation that would change everything. The balloon's woven basket creaked as they settled inside, a snug fit that brought their bodies close together. Clara gripped the edge, her knuckles whitening, as the burner roared to life above them, and the ground began to fall away. Madeline's hand found hers, giving a reassuring squeeze. "Look at us, Clara. Up, up, and away from it all." Madeline's voice was filled with a childlike wonder that made Clara's heart swell. Clara peered over the edge, watching as the airfield became a patchwork quilt beneath them. The world spread out like a canvas, brushed with the golds, reds, and browns of the autumn landscape. The higher they climbed, the more the earth seemed to unfurl below them, revealing its hidden beauty. As they ascended, Mark leaned close, his voice barely above a whisper against the hum of the burner. "Do you remember our first date, Clara? We talked about traveling, about seeing the world from different perspectives." Clara nodded, her eyes locked on the horizon, where the sky melted into a soft blush. "I remember," she said, "you promised me adventures." "And I always keep my promises," Mark replied, his eyes reflecting the sky. "But this is more than just an adventure. It's a celebration. Of us, of our family." The words hung between them, and Clara felt a gentle nudge from Madeline. "He's right, my dear. This is a journey to mark the beginning of something new, something wonderful." As the balloon soared higher, Clara's fear dissolved into the thinning air. The silence of the skies enveloped them, a tranquility that Clara had never experienced. She could hear the soft rustle of her clothing, the steady breaths of her companions, the distant call of a bird below. The world seemed to pause, holding its breath as if in reverence to their passage. Mark broke the silence, his voice full of emotion. "Clara, we're not just floating aimlessly. We're here to share the news that our family is growing. We're going to have a baby." The revelation struck Clara like a sunrise, warm and overwhelming. Her eyes brimmed with tears as she turned to face Mark, the man who had shared with her the depths of his heart. "You knew," she managed to ask, her voice a mere whisper in the vastness. Mark nodded, a soft smile playing on his lips. "I had my suspicions. Your late-night cravings for pickles and ice cream were a giveaway." Laughter bubbled up from Clara's chest, a release of all the tension she had carried. "And all the secrecy?" "It was Madeline's idea," Mark admitted, gesturing to his mother. "She said it needed to be a surprise worthy of the news." Madeline winked, every child should be welcomed with joy and love. And what better way than greeting the world from above it? The balloon drifted on, carried by the whims of the wind, a silent sentinel in the vast expanse of blue. The earth below was a reminder of the life that pulsed on, unaware of the small miracle taking place in the heavens. And as Clara gazed into the endless sky, she realized that this moment, this breathless point above the clouds, was a memory etched into the very soul of their budding family. Back on solid ground, the world seemed different to Clara. It was as if the very fabric of her reality had been altered, threaded with new colors of joy and anticipation. The balloon adventure had been a revelation, a glorious celebration in the heavens, but now the gentle rhythm of everyday life resumed its pace. Clara found herself in the kitchen with Madeline, the older woman's hands working deftly as she taught Clara the delicate art of French pastry. The sweet scent of baking dough filled the room, a reminder of the simple, yet profound pleasures of life. Madeline caught Clara's hand gently as she attempted to fold the pastry. "Patience, Clara. It's like weaving threads into a tapestry. Each fold, each crease, tells a story," she instructed, her voice warm and encouraging. Clara smiled, her hands following Madeline's with more care. "I never knew how much work went into these tarts. It's all about the unseen efforts, my dear. The little things that hold everything together," Madeline said, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. As they worked, Madeline began to share stories of Mark's childhood, each tale a thread in the tapestry of his life. Clara listened, enraptured by the image of a younger Mark, painted by his mother's words. "He was always so adventurous, always climbing higher than he should, always looking out to the horizon," Madeline reminisced with a chuckle. "One time, he climbed the big oak out back and declared himself king of the castle." Clara laughed, imagining her husband as a fearless child. "And now, he's taken his wife and mother up in a hot air balloon. Some things never change." "No, they don't. And now, he's preparing for his greatest adventure yet, fatherhood," Madeline said, her voice soft with emotion. The room was filled with more than the aroma of baking. It was filled with love, a deep, unspoken connection between the three of them, interwoven like the layers of the pastry they were preparing. Later, as they sat down to enjoy the fruits of their labor, Mark joined them, his face lighting up at the sight of the golden brown tarts. It smells like heaven in here. You two have outdone yourselves." He took a bite, and his expression was one of pure bliss. "Perfect," he declared, and Clara knew he wasn't just talking about the tarts. That evening, as the sun set, casting long shadows across the yard, Clara and Mark took a walk, their hands entwined. "You know, your mother is an incredible woman," Clara said, squeezing Mark's hand. Mark nodded, his face reflecting the orange glow of the sunset. "She's the thread that's held me together all these years. And now, she's weaving you and our future child into the fabric of our family." Clara leaned her head against Mark's shoulder, feeling the baby move inside her. It was a subtle flutter, like the touch of a butterfly, but it was enough to remind her of the unseen threads, the bonds of family and love, that would soon tie them even closer together. The journey in the hot air balloon had been a symbolic ascent, but the true journey was right here, in the quiet moments and the shared experiences that would define their lives together. In the weeks following their celestial journey, Clara felt a shift within the walls of their home. The air seemed to carry a tender vibrancy, each room echoing with the laughter and shared whispers of family. With Madeline staying with them for a while, the house hummed with a harmonious blend of English and French, the languages weaving around each other like an intimate dance. Clara found herself spending afternoons with Madeline, learning more than just the secrets of perfect pastries. They shared stories, knitting together a bond that was as much about friendship as it was about family. One afternoon, as they sat with cups of tea, Madeline spoke in soft, lilting French. "You know, Clara, language is more than words. It's the silence between the words, the look in the eyes, the hand that reaches out. That's the language of love." Clara nodded, her grasp of the language deepening with every shared moment. "Je comprends," she replied, a smile touching her lips. "I understand. It's the little things, isn't it?" "Oui, exactly," Madeline affirmed. Like Mark, when he was a boy, he didn't need to say a word. I could see his love in his actions, his excitement in his little jumps, his sadness in the droop of his shoulders. Mark, entering the kitchen at that moment, caught the tail end of their conversation. Are we talking about the mysterious ways I express my love? He teased, wrapping his arms around Clara from behind. Madeline laughed, a warm, rich sound that filled the room. We are discussing the universal language, the one you're quite fluent in, my son. The room resonated with a feeling of unity, a testament to the love that transcended the barriers of different mother tongues. Clara, Mark, and Madeline were creating a shared language, one that was uniquely their own, rich with the nuances of their individual expressions and the collective experiences that brought them together. As Clara's pregnancy progressed, so did her connection with Madeline. They would often sit, hands folded over her growing belly, feeling the baby's movements. No words were needed in these moments, the shared smiles and tears of joy were enough. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset, Clara whispered, "I used to fear I would always be an outsider in this family because of the language, but I was wrong." Mark, his eyes soft, responded in gentle French, "Love has its own language, and you've been speaking it beautifully since the day we met." Madeline reached out, touching Clara's cheek with a tenderness that bridged any gap words could create. "And now, you are giving us a new voice, a new life to teach and to learn from." In the quiet of the evening, as the sky painted itself in hues of fading light, Clara realized that their love was a language that needed no translation. It was found in the shared glances, the laughter in the kitchen, the protective circle around her belly. It was a language composed of moments and memories, a dialogue of the heart that would continue to grow with the arrival of their child. The language of love was alive in their home, a melody that played in the background of their days, a harmony that promised to guide them through the challenges and joys to come. It was a language that Clara had become fluent in, one that she would soon teach to the newest member of their family. The arrival of spring brought with it a new sense of beginning, the world awaking in a symphony of colors as Clara approached the final weeks of her pregnancy. Inside the nursery, pastel shades adorned the walls, soft blankets lay folded neatly, and a gentle melody from a music box filled the air with lullabies. This room, crafted with love and care, was a physical manifestation of the unseen threads that had woven their lives together. Clara stood in the doorway, Mark beside her, both gazing into the room that would soon echo with the cries and laughter of their child. "Can you believe it, Mark? Our little one will be here any day now," she whispered, her hand resting on the curve of her belly. Mark wrapped his arm around her, pulling her close. "It feels surreal, doesn't it? From the moment we took to the skies, everything has been leading to this." Their shared reflection was interrupted by Madeline's arrival, her arms laden with a hand-knitted blanket, the result of many evenings spent by the fireside. "For the baby," she said, presenting it to Clara with a smile that crinkled the corners of her eyes. "It's beautiful, Madeline. You put so much of yourself into this," Clara replied, running her fingers over the intricate patterns, feeling the love knitted into every stitch. Madeline beamed with pride. "Each thread is a wish for our little one's future, a blessing from my heart to theirs." As they arranged the blanket in the crib, the room seemed to embrace them, the tapestry of their family growing richer and more vibrant. Clara could feel the lineage of love, a lineage that started long before her and would continue long after. "Sometimes, I catch myself wondering what kind of parent I'll be," Clara admitted one evening as they sat in the living room, the baby's imminent arrival a tender topic. Mark took her hand, his touch steady and reassuring. "You'll be an amazing mother because you love with everything you have. That's all our child could ever need. And you, Mark, will be just as your father was with you," Madeline added, her voice carrying the weight of memories. "Patient, kind, and always ready with a story to tell." They spoke of hopes and dreams, of fears and uncertainties, their words weaving through the air, joining the tapestry of their lives with every sentence spoken. They talked late into the night, not just planning but dreaming, their voices a lullaby of love and expectation. When the day came and Clara held their newborn child for the first time, the threads of their lives bound together in a moment of perfect clarity. Mark stood by her side, his hand gentle on their baby's head, his eyes reflecting the pure joy of a new father. Madeline, now a grandmother, leaned over the crib, whispering words of welcome in soft French, her voice a familiar comfort in the chorus of new beginnings. As they stood together, a family united, Clara realized that this was the tapestry of life, complex and beautiful, woven from moments of love, fear, joy, and anticipation. It was a tapestry that would continue to grow with each passing day, with every beat of their child's heart, with every breath they took together. In the quiet of the nursery, with the soft light of dawn caressing the room, Clara whispered to her child, "You are the thread that completes us, the piece that makes our tapestry whole." And in the silence that followed, filled only with the soft cooing of their child, the language of love needed no words, for it was felt in every thread, every stitch, every heartbeat within the tapestry of their life.